Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Rich Herrera for News Radio WRVA, getting ready to start the program this morning. We're going to have a good show today. Governor Gilmore is going to stop by. We'll talk to him about everything going on in the Middle East. We'll also talk to him about Governor Spanberger's poll numbers that are starting to tank. We're also going to talk to a professor from George Mason University, Jeremy Mayer, who actually was part of that poll. He's coming up on the program. So let's get ready to go here at Richmond's Morning News. Music's playing. One more drink of Diet Coke. And off we go into the wild blue yonder. Here we go. At 6:03, good morning. Welcome, one and all, to Richmond's Morning News here on News Radio WRVA. My name is Rich Herrera. I've got Super Dave Ayler behind the glass. And then 2 booths away is Gary Hess. And we're ready to get you going this morning on this Thursday, April 9th, 2026. An interesting program we'll have for you today. Yesterday was kind of eclectic. We were all over the place. We talked with NASA aerospace engineer. We talked with a bunch of different folks yesterday to get you going in the morning. Today, of course, it's Thursday. So no better day to have Governor Jim Gilmore joining us, because we're going to talk to him about Abigail Spanberger's numbers that are starting to really slide. And as you just heard Gary, she had some kind of flippant remark of, well, the only thing that matters to me, I will tell you this, politicians, when they say that, that means there's something going wrong with the administration. We'll talk about that with Governor Gilmore. And one of the guys who's behind the poll that came out from George Mason University, Jeremy Mayer, professor of political science, is going to join us. We'll talk to him about his poll and the results that show Governor Spanberger has lost quite a bit of steam in the eyes of the public since she was elected just a few months ago. So we'll talk about that coming up on the program today. Also, today is the Masters. The Masters kicks off in Augusta. I've always wanted to see that golf course. I don't know if I dare want to play on that golf course because it's so pristine. It's so pretty. But what makes the Masters so great? I have a buddy of mine. He's a PGA member. He works down in Arizona. I knew him down there, but he is a patron of the Masters, goes every year. He's actually going to call us from Augusta today. No, he's not going to sneak his telephone in because they don't let you bring your phones into Augusta. The rules are completely different. It is the most genteel place you'll ever be. He's going to join us coming up with the program today to explain to us what makes the Masters and Augusta National so different than everybody else. Plus, hey, Dave, when's the last time you flew anywhere? Okay, so you didn't have to take off your shoes. Were you happy about that? My personal thought was Richard Reeves, a shoe bomber 20 years ago. Ever since that clown, we've all had to take off our shoes when we've gone through TSA until just a few months ago. I think his punishment should have been, he should have been lined up at the airport, and every time we had to take off our shoes, we got to kick him. Just because that was such a pain for something so ridiculous. Anyway, talk about ridiculous. There's a lawmaker that wants to bring back the taking off of our shoes when we go through the airport. We'll talk about that today on the program as well. So like I said, we've got a bunch planned for you today as we get you going. I was talking with somebody yesterday, and he was telling his buddy, he goes, hey, do you listen to Richmond's Morning News? He goes, I don't know, sometimes kind of, maybe. And he goes, dude, if you don't listen to Rich first thing in the morning, you're behind everybody else. So make sure you stay ahead with us this morning here on News Radio WRVA. In fact, speaking of that, let's get you ahead of everybody else. It's time for Richmond's Morning News Brief. Big story of the day. The ceasefire is very, very fragile. Strait of Hormuz is open, but Iran is trying to flex its muscle. Again, this is a ceasefire, not a peace deal. The negotiations will take place this week, and right now the world is watching. Here's a report from Fox News. So we'll play the Fox News report.
We got a statement from the Prime Minister's office saying that Lebanon was not going to be included in the ceasefire agreement. Israel followed that up with intense airstrikes all the way from Beirut to the Bekaa Valley and into Lebanon, all with the goal of driving the.
So here's the big deal. Is Iran independent of their proxies, or if they're standing up for Hezbollah, that tells me they're joined at the hip right here. We'll talk about this here in a second. Because they're still pounding Lebanon. They're still taking on Hezbollah, Hamas, the Houthis. Are they independent, or do we really treat them like they're part of the deal with Iran? And if that's the case, then there's a legitimate reason to go get Iran. All right, let's take a look at this. So here's what's going on. The ceasefire took place. Everybody said, okay, we're going to cool it. The Iranians said, we're going to allow traffic through the Strait of Hormuz. Israel continues to bomb Lebanon to go after Hezbollah. So here's what I really want to ask. You see, we've kind of said, oh my gosh, what are we doing? We're taking on Iran. What have they done? And there's a lot of people, oh, this is an illegal war. This tells me something. During these negotiations, Iran just tipped their hand. They just showed something. They gave me a tell. So let me ask you this. When the U.S. takes on Iran, when Israel takes on Iran, you're taking on another state. What is Hezbollah? What is Hamas? What are the Houthis? Are they part of the military apparatus of Iran? Now, up until now, I couldn't say so. I could say, well, maybe they give them aid, maybe they help them out, maybe they're friendly, but do they really report to, and are they the arm of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard? Well, if we have the ceasefire with Iran and the IRGC and all their military, why is Iran standing up for what's going on in Lebanon with Hezbollah? So if they're treating Hezbollah like it's part of their army, then really the fact that Iran has been engaging in attacks and warfare against the West through Hamas, through Hezbollah, through the Houthis, then now you really see the bigger picture over there. Before, Iran had plausible deniability. Well, those are those other people over there. These are these people over here. This is the state of Iran. But now you're telling me that I'm risking this ceasefire because the fighting continues against this independent core group of people that you've supported. But now you're saying no. The ceasefire has to cover them too. You just tipped your hand. You have been engaging in warfare against the West using your proxies, and they are 100% your proxies. They are part of your military apparatus. If you're going to go stop the ceasefire, you're going to threaten the ceasefire over them, that means they are part of your military en masse. And now you just tipped your hand. Now you tipped your hand. Now we really know what's going on, and you have no plausible deniability because you gave us a tell. All right, next thing I want to talk about here on the program is the governor's numbers. They are tumbling. Why?
Pull off that as your.
So now we'll play a soundbite from
and then your predecessor,
the governor.
Was making a podcast run earlier to taking a couple jabs at you. I guess overall on your numbers, what do you attribute that to, and then what would you say that to?
I would say if everybody hated me, why is everybody putting my face on their mailers for the referendum?
Wow, talk about tone deaf and not understanding what's really going on. Abigail Spanberger ran as a moderate. And I know a lot of you yelled and screamed at me, no, she's CIA, no, she's this. I said, listen, you can't just throw those things out there and not have the receipts. So I said, here's what she's saying. Here's what I see. When she becomes governor, we'll see. Now we have some receipts. Now we have some receipts, and people are seeing that she really isn't as moderate as she said she was going to be. She really isn't as bipartisan as she said she was going to be. And I now have receipts. How do I know she's not bipartisan? She's now full-throated support in favor of the gerrymandering, which is the most partisan hack thing you've ever seen in your life. Is she governing as a moderate? Not when you cut ties with ICE and then you play the little semantical games to say, no, I really didn't. I'll work with them as long as they go get a warrant that's not part of their toolkit. You ran as one thing, you're governing as another. And the people of Virginia see it, and that's why your poll numbers are tanking. But instead of addressing that, instead of responding back to the fact that the people are saying, wait a minute, this isn't what we bought, you have some flippant remark. She's brought this upon herself. She jumped in the national spotlight. She elevated her brand. She elevated herself when she gave the response to the State of the Union. And now the national spotlight is shining on her, and it's getting a little too hot for the governor. We'll talk about it coming up here on Richmond's Morning News. And can we jump over to the last thing we're going to do today? Rich waiting tables. So yesterday, I told you I was going to wait tables to thank our friends at Kitchen 33. You remember a week ago, wow, it was the biggest thing in the world. Those TSA workers hadn't been paid in months, a month and a half, 45 days, hadn't gotten a paycheck. So we teamed up with Kitchen 33 and we took them box lunches, over 100. So I had to thank Chris and the staff because they worked for 2 days. They put together so much. I said, what can I do? I mean, I could talk about them all day, but come on, I want to do something for them, something special. So I said, hey, Chris, how about if I come over and help out tomorrow during the lunch rush? And I did. So I went over there for a couple hours yesterday. I bussed tables. I wiped tables down. I filled water glasses. I got sodas. I sat people. I brought them their menus. I bussed tables. I brought people little to-go cartons. I did everything you could except actually take the food and run the food out because I didn't know the table numbers. But I did everything else I could to try to help out the staff. It was great. Just in case you were wondering, do I still have my waiter skills? Here's KK, one of the servers at Kitchen 33. We put this up on Instagram if you want to find it at News Radio WRVA.
Amazing.
So this is me and the feedback of how I did waiting tables.
So I bus tables?
Bus tables, did drinks, clean tables.
Yeah.
He helped with everything that could possibly be done for a server.
Yeah, see,
You did
tell you
great.
guys, I still know what to do. We'll see what
Hey,
some
it's like
customers
riding a
think.
bike. You got back on it.
Got back on it, and a lot of WRVA listeners came by yesterday, so I just want to say thank you for supporting Kitchen 33 as they stepped up and thanked our TSA workers and was just there for the community. So thank you guys very much.